Hey guys, first regardsman here, and today I brought on Jefficus with me once again to talk about something pretty important in Space Marine 2's community, which is the recent community backlash to the new DLC heads and voice lines. Now, we talked about this a little bit already. People have been talking about the fact that this new DLC pack will not be included in the new Season 2 pass that came out in like September, and frankly, I think the reasons that Saber has given for this are pretty bullshit, and it's been pretty greedy to say the least. What do you think, Jeff?
I think that a long time ago, you had this theory where you said that Saber is prepping the community for more DLC and more microtransactions for Space Marine 3. And I think that this is what we're seeing. We are going to see more microtransactions because that's what this is. This is a microtransaction. We're going to see more microtransactions slowly get added to Space Marine 2 over time outside of the annual pass, and they're gonna continue making this stuff and ignore the fact that they said that the game wouldn't have any microtransactions before it was released. And of course, they're going to paint it as DLC. It's just DLC that you have to buy through Steam or through the Xbox Store or PlayStation Store. But I mean, I'm able to call a spade a spade. This is a microtransaction.
Yeah, it's definitely what it feels like in a lot of cases. Now, I don't know if I go as far as say it's an MTX. I mean, technically it is like a little DLC pack, but as far as what they're doing for like Space Marine 3, it definitely does feel like they're prepping people for like a full live service. Now, Saber has said repeatedly that they do not want to have this game be considered a live service. That Space Marine 2 is not a live service, just has like a bit of a, free content drops and some DLC cosmetic packs. But on the official Discord, the community managers have been like actioning people constantly. Like people have said things like, "What does reading the roadmap again have to do with you guys making a scummy monetization decision that breaks all of your consumer goodwill?" And all the community manager said to this was just posting the season 2 pass for like, technically yes, the new DLC pack was never presented as being a part of the season 2 pass, but like that's not really like a good response. Like this is your company response to people being like, "Hey, I bought your season 2 pass. You said this game is not a live service." Like season 2 pass would imply that this is like all the content you're gonna be getting in the next year of Space Marine 2. And now they have like this new little voice pack and they are selling it to people. Like it's a pretty minor thing overall in terms of like how much money the DLC pack will probably cost, but it's really more about the principle of this, in my opinion, where they're going to do this again. Like, what else is not going to be on Season 2 Pass? Are we just going to have to assume that, like, more DLC packs will pop up down the road as we just have the game become bigger and bigger post-Tech Marine and stuff like that, assuming Tech Marine goes well, which I think it will. But as far as Space Marine 3's release is
Oh yeah.
concerned, I think it's going to be a pretty big telling point that they have this DLC pack just, like, pop up. And they're just saying, like, "Oh, we didn't tell you about it, so just accept it's going to be an extra cost when you already bought the Season Pass."
Can I pick on one of the responses here? And I'm just gonna read it out. I'm not gonna read who the moderator or community manager was, but they said, "Well, obviously, yes. Doing these recordings was something not originally planned. We made this DLC because we saw players wanted to play their favorite chapters with unique, lore-compliant voice lines. We had to hire actors to do these. We did not pick the simple solution, which was to use AI-generated voices." And my counter to this is that in every single operation that gets released, you have to record new voice lines. You have to pay voice actors. So is this an admission that they're simply using AI generated voices for characters like Captain Akran whenever he talks any new operation, or are they paying the voice actor for the new operation? This seems like an entire pack or DLC that could have just been stuffed into next year's seasonal pass, and Saber could have just farmed a really easy W with these voices. Another thing is the Tech Marine is guaranteed 100% gonna have a different voice. Does this mean that we're gonna have to pay a premium for the apothecary? Because if with the apothecary comes out, the chaplain, the executioner, whoever else comes out, librarian perhaps, they're going to be voiced by different voice actors. Are we going to have to pay a premium because Saber is having to pay for these voice actors for these new classes? Like I'm lost. As a consumer, I'm just lost. I'm confused.
I mean, I definitely agree. Like, it is a bit of a bullshit excuse to say like, oh, we have to hire voice actors. Like, what do you not have to pay for in Space Marine 2? All content in Space Marine
Yeah.
2 costs money. The whole point of us getting free content at all in this game is because it is funded by these cosmetic packs, and they're like, oh, this was not originally planned. So like maybe they have a budget where they're like, okay, we have this much money to allocate to all the season 2 pass, or like, all the season 2 updates, because I don't think season 2 was originally planned. But either way, having them just come out and be like, actually, didn't you read the season pass? It gives me the same energy of like, don't you guys have phones and stuff like that Blizzard did way back
Don't
when?
you guys have phones?
Yeah, with like the Diablo Immortal thing. And it's just one of these things where I see people defending this. I actually defended this initially, where I'm like, it really doesn't matter to me, because like it's like what, like a $5 DLC pack, $8 maybe. That's not a lot of money for like a DLC pack. But the thing is, they're gonna do this again, and it's just anti-consumer, like blatantly, in my opinion. That I don't know why people go to the defense of like multi-million-dollar corporations and be like, oh guys, why are you giving them shit when like they're so humble to us, they care so much about us. They want money. I mean, they said as much here, that they want money. Everything they do in this game is because they want your money to some degree. That's why they sell you the cosmetic packs. That's why they make the free updates, so you keep playing and buying the cosmetic packs. And telling people that like, oh, you should just accept this because we didn't put it in season 2 pass. It's just like, it just doesn't feel good. Like, it's a mean thing to treat your consumer that way. Just be like, are you guys stupid? Didn't you guys read the fine print? It's pretty much that, where it's like, just read the fine print, accept the fact that we have bamboozled you, and this is just coming out, and you have to pay for it, pretty much. And just for voice lines, I don't think that matters too much in the grand scheme. But as far as dropping DLC packs just out of the blue for extra money, I think it's going to rub players the wrong way. And I think it's a bit of an implication of what's coming for Space Marine 3, because Space Marine 3 will probably be an actual live service, and I think that's probably going to be the case. And the more and more DLC packs we have here, I think it's just I don't think this is a good way to drop it, personally.
No, I don't think it's not a good thing to introduce, no matter how you look at it. Even if you're a huge fan of Warhammer 40k, obviously we're all familiar with how costly and how expensive the hobby is overall, but that doesn't mean that we have to lay down and take it. There are entire companies like Larian or From Software where, imagine if they added DLC like this to their games. Like, imagine if they added extra voice packs, cosmetics, etc., and sold it to their player base. A lot of people would be pissed. Plus, it's also one of the issues that I have with this is that I have like a certain level of standards, I suppose, or like a certain way that I view Saber and Focus, and their reputation in my eyes is like being subtracted because they're starting to lean into these practices. And like you said, I have no doubt that once this DLC pack releases, it's going to sell well, and they're going to see that it's going to sell well. They're going to get some dollar signs in their eyes, and they're going to do this again and again and again and again. And eventually, we're going to have a situation like with Activision Blizzard, where a game like World of Warcraft it's fallen prey to enshittification. Honestly, just the best word for it. It's been enshittified, and it's basically just this slop game that you log into so that you can give Blizzard money. This is what the current audience, the current consumer of Space Marine 2 is basically being trained to do, is just log in and just give Saber and Focus your money, which is just sad.
I don't think the DLC packs in this game are overly priced for the most part. But a big issue in Space Marine 2's community, or not even with the community, but more so like just the way the game is balanced, is that bug fixes take forever. We still have heroic weapons that are bugged for like a month plus from like a single hotfix. They probably won't be fixed until like patch 12. Like in the case of the heroic heavy bolt pistol, the heroic perk effect is broken, and the parry bug has been in this game forever. They still not fix that entirely. And them dropping DLC packs is like, oh, pay for this too, when they can't even fix their game like a reasonable schedule, and their content drops take forever. Like at what point do we say like, okay, we want more content drops if you're gonna sell us more DLC? Because I think more people would be open to the idea of like a live service game if the game was properly treated as a live service, but instead they're basically like frog and watering you. I just don't understand the idea of defending a multi-million-dollar company personally. like especially when they don't fix their balancing issues properly and their bugs are just rampant. This is also an issue in World War Z with Saber, where they'll just be like, oh, we can't fix this, or they just take forever. Like Darktide, for all of its faults, Fat Shark will fix major game-breaking bugs within like a couple weeks. And we know from prior points in Saber's life cycle for this game that they will fix things like almost instantaneously or like within a week if they are forced to. Because when lethal difficulty came out, when they had tight formation, that was the single fastest change in all of Space Marine 2 we have ever seen.
Oh, yeah,
they got rid of tight
yeah.
formation in like a week because they knew in like 2 seconds that, oh shit, players are not going to play our brand new difficulty if it's like too hard for them or they all hate this mode. We have to change it immediately. So like the idea that complaining doesn't matter in these games is just bullshit. Like pushing Saber to the point that they have to actually make a change, it can be done. It provably can be done. And I don't really know why you'd sit there and be like, oh, it's just like a waste of time to complain about these things. Obviously, there are a lot of stupid complaints that go on in Space Marine 2 because like some people just like complain about a class balance all the time. But like in terms of them trying to take your actual money for a DLC pack, I think it's pretty fair. Say like, okay, this is not part of the season pass, this shouldn't cost as much money, or it shouldn't cost any money. We have tons of free content come out anyways. Why are you actually me? Why are you pretending like, yeah, of course we want your money? That's pretty much what they said. They said like, well, yes, obviously we wanted more money, so you're gonna buy our DLC pack, and like it costs us money to make this, but it's stupid. It's a stupid thing for them to say. And it's very anti-consumer for them to say this. I can't believe their actual community managers would say this at all. That like, oh, aren't you idiots? Don't you idiots read the season pass? It's just bad PR, blatantly, in my opinion, for that.
Yeah, and just to add on to something that you said, I think that both of us have a lot of respect for Saber and for Focus because they're willing to change the game based off of feedback. For example, modular customization. Not coming in Space Marine 2, but it's 100% going to be a thing in Space Marine 3. Or at least something very similar to it. They've alluded. And that is a huge W. That's awesome. Like, it's realistic that they're not going to go back and, rewrite all of the code or whatever the heck they would have to do, waste a bunch of time to implement it into Space Marine 2, but it's coming. And they do stuff like this all the time. So I just think that this is one of those moments where the community needs to speak up. They need to make sure that their voice is heard and let Saber and Focus know that this is not a practice that they would like to be accustomed to, that they would like to get used to. Because again, if this thing launches and people take the bait, then it's going to become a very common practice. It's going to be something that you see once, twice, 3 times a year, in addition to paying for the annual pass, which is crazy.
Yeah, do you think that people will be more open to a more expensive season pass in the future with like more frequent content drops? Do you think that's something that people would want in this game? I feel like that'd probably be a better idea if people were like, because I think the idea of the season 2 pass was better than the initial season pass, where like they didn't even tell you what you were getting in the first season pass, and now you know, but now they're adding onto it, or not even adding onto it, they're adding extra stuff on top of it and being like, pay for this. We didn't actually say this was going to be in the season pass, so like if we decide to drop content, you just have to pay for it.
Dude, if Saber wants to bulk up the team and lean into the live service model, I'm okay with that. I love content. I love being able to log in every week, every other week, and have something new to do, but they're not doing that. That's my biggest problem here, is these voices are not a significant addition to the game, nor does it seem like they're going to lead to any significant additions to the game, or at least in the near future. Has not been revealed, obviously. So if they wanted to lean into a live service model more akin to something like where Destiny 2 was when that game was peak a couple of years ago, then yeah, like I'm here for it. But you need to make that clear. You need to make that clear to your audience and to the players. Otherwise, everyone's just going to be confused and mad. We're all a bunch of world eaters right now, just fucking yelling into our microphones.
Yeah, I think the community backlash overall has been pretty justified. Like, I don't really see a lot of people defending Saber in this case, where like even the people that I have seen defend Saber, even people like myself, like my initial reaction is like, okay, it's like that's kind of scummy, but like I guess it technically wasn't the season pass. But, like on on further inspection, I'm like, it's just blatantly anti-consumer to do that. Like at that point, when you buy a season pass, let's say like you're a casual player and you buy the season pass, you will just assume that you have all the DLC. You'll be like, wait, what's this pack? I never heard of like a voice pack or anything like that. And like, are we seriously saying that a single champion skin and a cosmetic pack are paying for like the entirety of a new operation, like 6 new heroics, a new like 6 new chaos champion skins in patch 10, and all of this other stuff, but a new voiceover has to have like an entirely separate price tag independent of the season pass that is like $40+ in some countries? Like, it's ridiculous to me that they would say this. And I just think like I think the people defending this are bootlickers, I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's my official opinion. There are no official content creators for Space Marine 2. It is all the same community. Like, we all just play the game because we like 40k. We like to play the absolute difficulty, we like the siege mode, we like to just do whatever we can, like have fun and like our little 40k Space Marine LARP, which is basically all it is. Like, everyone is part of the same community here. And I think people should make their voices heard on this. That, like, it's just not okay. It's anti-consumer, and Saber is being blatantly fucking cringe to tell people like, actually, didn't you read the season pass? Just dumb. That's how I feel about it.
Not only that, but there's no reason to defend the practice, because until we see some tangible benefits in the game to Saber making more money on the game outside of more cosmetics, like until we see more operations, until we see more stratagems get added to the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, at a faster pace or a more reasonable pace, there's just simply no reason to defend the big company just simply making more money. It's nuts. I feel like this is literally just one step away from doing something like premium cosmetics and Saber hiding behind some other veiled excuse where it's like, oh, well, this Legion of the Damned Marine, this Legion of the Damned skin has like particle effects. Like, oh, you got the fire and everything, and so you've got to pay for that separately, and it's $20. And oh, well, this is the Grey Knights pack, and we did a collaboration with Games Workshop to be able to add this into the game, or some crazy BS like that. And so this is going to be $20. These are the vibes that I'm getting from this entire situation.
I think people will be more open to it if they actually said it was going to be a live service, like straight up. I think people are open to the idea of live service for more content. Like, yes, there will always be the people who cry that like they have to spend money on like literally anything in a game, because like some people do think like all content should be free, and they don't understand the things that do cost money to make. But in this case, it's just blatant bullshit. Like, it's just greed. It's corporate greed at the end of the day. Like, that's really all it is here. It is corporate greed, and it's testing the waters to see what they can push on players again before they inevitably sell you all of your cosmetics all over again in Space Marine 3. Because Games Workshop might be pushing for part of this, but like, we already know Games Workshop's a greedy company. Saber has also been a greedy company in the past. At the end of the day, corporations are not your friend, and like, their community liaisons are just there to like damage control half the time. And especially in cases like this. So I don't know, guys. Make your voices heard. Thank you, Jeff, for coming on to talk about this with me, because I think it is an important thing to talk about, is that Space Marine 2's community really shouldn't stand for like shitty business practices. Because I mean, look at Darktide in the 10-cent store where it's like $30 skins. Like, we don't want that in Space Marine 2. So that's how I feel about this.
My last thoughts on this are like, do you guys really want this to be normalized for this game and for this community? Like, just think about that. Do you want this to be just the norm going forward? That's it.
Good. That's a good point, man. Thank you for coming on. Subscribe to Jeff Kiss, guys. And as always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know usually we don't go into like super controversial video, but like, I don't even think this won't be that controversial, to be honest, because I think most people are like, yeah, fuck corporations. But all these, like, especially shitty Games Workshop and scummy business practices from gaming companies. But either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Bye.
The Emperor protects.